Welcome everyone. My name is Francesca. I am an interpreter working here at the beautiful Oceano Dunes District on the central coast of California, and I work for California State Parks. And tonight I am so excited to virtually welcome you to the foot of the Pacific Ocean. And for tonight's program, we are going to be learning about a marine species that lives out here in the Pacific Ocean. And this animal has been floating around in our oceans for over 500 million years, even before the dinosaurs roamed our planet. And this animal that we're going to learn about is the sea jelly, also known as jellyfish, and we will learn why we prefer to call them sea jellies tonight during the program. Now, even just the word sea jelly or jellyfish might be enough to give you a chill down your spine as you conjure up images of blobs of translucent jellies floating around in the world's ocean, reaching their tentacles out to sting maybe us humans. But during tonight's program, we really hope to educate you on how resilient this creature is. And we think you will find it amazing at how such a simple creature has been around for so long, drifting out in our oceans. And for tonight's program, we are going to focus on the anatomy of the sea jellies. We're also going to talk about its life cycle and its place here in the marine food web. And we will also talk about a few of the local species that you might see floating in the waters out here in the waves, or even washed up on the shore if you encounter them during your beach walks here along the central coast of California. And finally, we definitely will also give some tips on what to do if you do get stung by a jellyfish. So before we dive on into our program for tonight, we are going to be true to our campfire roots and have a little treat by the campfire and learn how to make a s'more with my friend Ben. So for this, let's send it back over to the Oceano Dunes Campfire Center, and go ahead and take it away, Ben.
All right, hey everyone, today we're going to learn about the Campground Classic S'more, which is just the original graham cracker with chocolate and marshmallows. So I recommend getting your supplies ready and lay them out. So I had my graham cracker ready and split, chocolate on top of it, and then once that's prepared, you go and roast your marshmallows. And I recommend roasting them down towards the coals rather than the top of the fire, because you get a more even roast that way. Once your marshmallows are roasted to your liking, what you want to do to assemble the s'more is take the marshmallows and place them on the side of the graham cracker with chocolate, and take the other side of the graham cracker, place on top, and then twist your roaster while you pull out of the marshmallows. Perfect, so that way you don't spill everywhere. And then condense the graham crackers with a little bit of pressure. Pull up, and you're ready to go. The Campground Classic S'more.
Wow, great. Thank you, Ben. That was so fun to learn about how to make the Campfire Classic S'more. We hope you guys are enjoying those treats at home. If you have any fun recipes, go ahead and share them with us, or share your cool photos in the comment section below. But now it's time to settle in and get started with our program. So let's dive on in and start learning about these jellies.
Now, first things first, instead of calling this animal a jellyfish, scientists use the term sea jelly because, similar to the sea stars, which we learned about during our earlier program, jellyfish aren't even fish. Technically, they're a type of plankton known as zooplankton, which are defined as organisms that drift in the ocean currents. So how do we classify an animal that has no brain, no blood, no respiratory system? Well, it's the cnidarians. Sea jellies are in the phylum Cnidaria, which means they are more closely related to sea anemones and corals than they are to fish. As you can see on this tree of life, Cnidaria evolved very early and are one of the earliest forms of life to form over 700 million years ago. Jellies are comprised of 95% water. Most jellies are between half an inch to 16 inches across, but the lion's mane jelly grows to almost 6 feet wide with 49 feet long tentacles. Sea jellies don't even have a brain. Instead of a true nervous system, they have a network of nerves called a nerve net. And this happens to be the earliest known nervous system in animals. These creatures are so basic that they only have one opening for food to both go in and out of, and it's the same hole that they deposit their eggs from. Between the two skin layers is a gelatinous substance called the mesoglia, which makes up most of its body. The mesoglia contains proteins and muscle cells that allow the jelly to keep its shape. To move, jellies simply contract and relax their bells. And while they are often considered the earliest animals to swim using muscles, most jellies are still at the will of ocean currents and are considered drifters of the sea, as in plankton. Sometimes you will see jellies washed ashore because they couldn't swim against strong winds, currents, or tides. Sea jellies have some incredible adaptations to defend themselves in the open pelagic ocean habitat. First of all, jellies use camouflage. Most are translucent, making them nearly invisible to predators. Many jellies also are bioluminescents, which means they can glow a green or blue color. If they light up bright enough, it might startle away their potential predators, allowing the jellies to escape. And of course, jellies are notoriously known for having stinging cells, which are called nematocysts. When something touches a jellyfish, these tiny harpoons are propelled out of the nematocysts and into the offending party, and then toxins are released. The entire process from touch to the release of the venom occurs within 700 nanoseconds. And stay tuned, because in just a moment we'll learn what to do if you do happen to get stung by a jelly. Sea jellies have some interesting traits. Like our beloved western monarch butterflies that visit Pismo State Beach in the winter, jellies exist in distinctly different forms over the course of their lifetimes. Juvenile jellies are called polyps, and they look just like a sea anemone, with tentacles that extend upward. Polyps are attached to a hard substrate, like the bottom of the sea floor or even the bottom of a boat. And the adult jellies, they take the more familiar medusa form, which has that large bell round-shaped body and tentacles that hang down. And incredibly, sea jellies reproduce both sexually and asexually. Polyps develop by budding into different juvenile forms, almost like producing clones, called ephyra, which matures into the medusa. Sexual reproduction in the medusa occurs from spawning. Jellies release eggs and sperm into the open ocean. They quickly reproduce when the water conditions are just right, because one jelly can release up to 45,000 eggs in a single night. The eggs become fertilized and develop into swimming larvae, and after drifting in the ocean's water column for several days, the larvae then anchor to a hard surface, such as a rock or the bottom of that boat, and grow back into the polyp, and the cycle continues. Sea jellies are actually mostly carnivorous, using those stinging cells to sting their prey and pull the food up towards their mouth and their digestive cavity. While sea jellies might be able to eat small fish and small crustacean, what they survive on mainly are small, microscopic plankton, such as this image of a fish larva. And after a sea jelly eats, like this moon jelly here, you can see where its stomach cavities are. It goes from clear and actually changes color to show, once it's eaten its meal, that orange color from the plankton becomes visible. Sea turtles, including the western Pacific leatherbacks that we have out here in the Pacific Ocean, are one of the top predators for sea jellies. However, tragically, sea turtles are often killed by mistaking plastic bags for their favorite food. You can help the sea turtles by making sure to use alternatives to plastic, like reusable grocery bags and reusable cups. Another predator are the mola molas, or the ocean sunfish. These large pelagic fish live in the Pacific Ocean and spend most of their lives in the deep, dark, nutrient-rich waters. Occasionally, they will swim up to the surface to bask in the sunshine and find a tasty meal. But how do these predators not get stung by the jellies? Well, to break its dinner down into manageable pieces, the mola doesn't chew. It sucks the jellies in and out of its mouth until they're reduced to gelatinous chunks. Additionally, molas can enjoy this potentially painful diet because of a thick mucus lining that covers their digestive tract to prevent them from getting stung. Now, what about those charismatic sea turtles? Well, take a look at the inside of a sea turtle's mouth. Incredible! All of those thorny glands are protecting the turtle's throat and mouth from the jellyfish stings, and they also help break down the food, kind of like teeth, as they expel excess seawater. Now let's learn about the local species of sea jellies that live right out here in the northeastern Pacific Ocean. These are the ones that you might encounter during your visit to the beach here along Pismo State Beach. First, we have the moon jellies, which get their name from the clear, translucent bell that is similar to the Earth's moon. They are perhaps the most common species of sea jellies found along the coast of California. They're widely studied, and you'll commonly see them in aquariums because their tentacles are short and their sting is not strong enough to irritate our human skin. The purple striped jellies grow up to be 3 feet wide and have distinctive silver and purple bands. This species has a limited range and only live off the coast of California. Compared to our other locals, this species has the strongest sting. So if you see one floating by you, or if you see a purple blob washed ashore, it's best to keep your distance. And next up, we have the egg yolk jellies. This species is commonly found along the waters of the Central Coast and can be found from Alaska all the way down to Chile. And it's also found in the Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea. This is one of the few orangish-yellow colored jellies in our waters, and you can also identify them by their large shape. They can grow up to be 2 feet in diameter and have 20-foot-long tentacles that deliver only a mild sting. The sea nettles live in the open water habitat and range from Baja, California, up through our temperate waters into the north of us into the Monterey Bay. The black sea nettle, pictured here, is considered a giant jelly because its bell can grow to be over 3 feet wide and the tentacles can stretch up to 20 feet long. And last, while it's not classified as a true jelly, the by-the-wind sailors, or the velas, will experience mass strandings along our beaches, generally a few times a year, depending on the ocean conditions. By-the-wind sailors drift along on the surface of the oceans using that clear flap on their tops as a sail to catch the wind. After getting blown ashore, these creatures die and eventually dry out and turn white. That is, if the seabirds don't eat them first.
Now here along the Central Coast, most jellyfish stings are mild to moderately painful or irritating. If you do get stung, we're going to give you a few tips about what to do. And as always, if you are experiencing a medical emergency, make sure you seek help immediately. But for most people, the reactions are quite mild, and these tips will help you get through the pain of a jellyfish sting.
The first thing you're going to do after you get stung by a sea jelly is to calmly and safely get out of the water and call for help. Then you're going to want to rinse the area that has the sting with the salty seawater. But don't rub sand or cause any more abrasions, because you're also going to want to carefully scrape off any tentacles that might still be attached to you. Next, you're going to want to soak or spray the wound with vinegar, or a vinegar diluted solution. Now, everyone has a different reaction, but the pain should subside within a few hours. And if not, you're going to want to seek medical attention from a lifeguard or a medical center if a severe reaction develops. Now remember, our jellyfish species here on the Central Coast are fairly mild compared to species that are found in Australia, Hawaii, and more tropical waters. So if you're ever traveling to tropical spots, make sure you keep an eye out for signs and stay aware of your surroundings when you're at the beach and visiting the ocean at all times.
Okay, well, awesome. We are all out of time for tonight. I had so much fun learning about the sea jellies with you. I hope you learned a lot, and I hope you are also inspired to help this marine species and help the entire marine food web survive by lessening your impact on our environment. Remember to use a reusable grocery bag whenever possible to avoid plastic entering into our watersheds. And a reusable mug or beverage container is also a great way to prevent plastic from entering our oceans. So thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate all of your support here from the beautiful Oceano Dunes. We hope you have a great rest of your night.
And to watch more of our virtual campfire programs and to find educational content for your entire family, please visit our YouTube page. Thanks so much!